This is the Youth Services Group project, Participatory Culture Within Teen Services, by Coveney, Hill, McIntyre, Mirsajati, and Walker. Following the wave of consumerism after World War I, the mass production of products allowed people to move away from consuming and toward producing. Participatory culture is defined as the opposing concept to consumerism and is a culture in which individuals do not act only as consumers, but instead are contributors or producers. Although participatory culture predates the internet, the creation of the internet and the founding of digital media sharing capabilities expanded the opportunity for people to create and produce their content. Expert on participatory culture, Henry Jenkins, explains that participatory culture must contain these primary principles for its users and contributors. It must have relatively low barriers to artistic expression and civic engagement, strong support for creating and sharing one's creation with others, some type of informal mentorship whereby what is known by the most experienced is passed along to novices, and be a place where members believe that their contributions matter and members feel some degree of social connection with one another. Participatory culture comes from 4 primary forms known as affiliations, expressions, collaborative problem solving, and circulations. Common types of affiliations are both formal and informal memberships to online media groups, sites, or applications such as Facebook, MySpace, Tumblr, and other message boards. Such social media affiliation is the most common type of media interaction that many teens participate in. Expressions are a way to produce new creative forms or alter previous work. This could be in the form of remixes, song covers, and art redesign. Collaborative problem solving can be both formal and informal in participatory culture. Examples would be the creation of factual sites such as Wikipedia, or informal collaborations such as the use of media platforms to create and compose a project without ever meeting in person. Finally, circulations are contributions to continuously updating media such as blogging, podcasts, and vlogging. All of these types of participatory culture provide that ideas can be altered, improved, and circulated through a community. Specific to teen services and library programs, participatory culture fits into the landscape of library work with teens because it provides the essential foundation that every teen librarian should strive for, teenagers making a space, program, or service their own. Before discussing the library context of participatory culture or the specific connection to teen services, we will first give some more background on the concept of participatory culture. Henry Jenkins is the most prominent contributor to the conversation on participatory culture. In his literature, he discusses it as a communal experience based on supportiveness and acceptance from the community who together create a sort of collective knowledge for whatever it is they all revolve around. Jenkins also argues that contribution to the collective knowledge is not necessary, but it is encouraged and highly accepted. This is a contrary view, however, to that of Christopher Kayari, who argues contribution is critical, otherwise one isn't actually participating in the experience. Jenkins also explains that participatory culture sprung up as a response to evolving technologies such as the internet and social media, which allow people to come together from all over the globe to contribute their experiences, understanding, and cultures to the collective knowledge pool. According to Jenkins, participatory culture has helped to develop many desirable skills, including multitasking, network, transmedia navigation, and the ability to compile and synthesize one understanding or knowledge base. However, he is also concerned with possible negative outcomes from participating cultures such as participation gaps or unequal access to participation opportunities and the amount of transparency provided by media, which could lead to ethical issues. Participatory culture does not only apply to library or fandom theory, though it is widely popular and extensively studied through the lens of fan cultures and communities. The literature also covers studies conducted on participatory cultures for such things as diplomacy or human rights campaigns, learning and creating music, and the development of software. James Pammett examines the effect social media and participatory cultures have on the advancement of human rights and diplomacy efforts, arguing that the contributions from people all around the world and the promoting of a unified cause for equality allows for policy to be influenced. Christopher Kayari examines how creating a participatory culture among his music students initiated not only deeper learning and understanding of music, but also spurred the creation of new music by his students, which is another example of a collective knowledge. A group of software developers began researching the effects current social medias and communication tools allowed for group collaboration, which led to the creation of a participatory culture where software developers shared ideas and worked through problems together. Jenkinson's concerns can be represented by each of these studies. Ethical concerns and media transparency are both issues where diplomacy and human rights are concerned, and similarly where competing software developers are concerned as well. As far as a class-created space where musicians come together to create music, there is a concern that some students might experience participation gaps or unequal access to participation opportunities. Libraries are fundamental in helping bridge participation gaps and provide access and participation opportunities for the larger community. Though libraries have traditionally been thought of as bastions for the consumption of information and information literacy more broadly, the modern world has transformed that role into one that fosters more engagement. Mackey and Jacobson pioneered the concept of meta-literacy to connect traditional information literacy skills to the content creation and online environments that libraries can foster via participatory culture. Libraries need to engage in participatory culture in a flexible and creative way tailored to the specific communities they serve in order to be effective. Various sources have discussed the pitfalls and shortcomings of library engagement, with the principles of participatory culture warning librarians to focus on the goal of social media engagement and other facets of participatory culture in order for them to be effective. Velasquez, for instance, discusses engaging with teenage patrons by making a welcoming environment in which they can work to create their own programs within the library, rather than investing in expensive technologies or programs that might seem to be trendy. In looking specifically at academic libraries, Joseph Deodato identified effective methods of applying participatory culture principles via crowdsourcing, search and retrieval approaches, creative engagement with scholars and patrons across platforms, and incorporation of participatory culture into how librarians provide reference and instruction. The modern library, which Deodato refers to as Library 2.0, needs to engage with social media and technology in a way that focuses on desired results and usefulness. Criticisms of makerspaces within libraries has been nearly as ubiquitous as the spaces themselves, with scholars like Velasquez, Bernier, and Willett all warning against rigid pursuit of technological spaces at the expense of focusing flexibility on the needs and desires of a library's particular community. Rather than adopting the latest technologies to keep up with trends and potentially having their expensive makerspaces go unused, libraries need to carefully consider how to engage with their specific community and adopt technologies and strategies that successfully create a participatory culture tailored to that community. Of course, libraries are not the only environments where participation takes place. Online and in person, in museums and classrooms, both physical and digital, individuals continue to transform from consumers to producers. Brummett's analysis of participation of art museums saw an emphasis on experiential learning where participants show differing levels of engagement and involvement. Here, Brummett largely relied on Brown, Novak Leonard, and Gilbert's audience involvement spectrum to describe the level to which museum exhibits engaged the audience. Next, Caffey and Pepler incorporated research on both new media literacies and digital literacy and their exploration of creative media production through a do-it-yourself mindset. Two studies on the adult education from Bourne et al. Provided further insight into models of participation. Bourne et al. Recognized that current models of participation focus too much on the individual without considering the impact of the educational institutions and the regulating authorities. This larger context must be integrated into future models. In addition, Boskert and Kiefer found that both external and internal motivators contribute to the formation of community engagement within the context of massive open online courses. The overarching call across these different environments and platforms is for a shared language and framework within which to discuss participation. There are multiple strategies which can be implemented to get teens to participate in libraries, creating a positive relationship. Ideally, the teen librarian would take on more of a facilitator role, allowing teens to be creators of their own programming. Also, creating opportunities for teens to design their own teen space will foster a deeper relationship with the library. This can be accomplished by hanging their artwork or having a teen pick section where they can share their favorite books with one another. The Nordic model states that the library's overall objective is to support the following 4 possibilities for users: experience, involvement, empowerment, and innovation, according to Velasquez. Teens are creative, tech-savvy, and libraries can create outlets that benefit teens by promoting participation.